YouTube, this is Vargas XX78 with the Tales from the Vargas Vault. I just actually finished recording the pickup video with the Nerf guns, and I already have stuff out, and I decided that as I was looking at it, everything that I took out, I decided to share with you a part of the collection that I haven't actually done before. Now, as you saw with the Nerf gun collection, I tend to go a bit overboard when I'm interested in a very specific thing. The Nerf guns are the recent thing, which will work great for costuming purposes, but the main thing before that I was collecting for are swords. Now, I play a lot of RPGs, and my favorite series of all time is The Legend of Zelda. And of course, that one has the best sword of all time, the Master Sword. It's actually a weapon that I would love to pick up, and I have seen in a swap meet in Spring Valley. Spring Valley has a swap meet, and they have like these replicas of the Master Sword in the traditional blue version and a black version. And from time to time, they do also have the Hylian shield. I would also love to own that. But that's like my biggest video game prop thing that I'd like to buy, but I just not have had the money to actually pop in the $40 for the shield and the $40 for the sword. It's just, unfortunately, not something that I can afford at this point. $40 is a bigger investment than what I've spent on total with the Nerf blasters. But swords have always had a principal importance to me. But I've gotten all the swords that I have wanted, so that's why I haven't bought anything new, except here and there. And of course, the Zelda swords are like, the Zelda sword is like my big thing that I would love to save up and buy eventually. But if you follow my channel for a while, you know that I have a huge fascination for Japanese culture, especially during the samurai era. I have this very strange, very deep connection with that time period. Someone once told me that maybe, in a past life, maybe I lived during that area. And, you can believe in past life or not, but it's a very deep interest that I have in samurai era. So, of course, I've always been fascinated with swords. And the history of swords. I followed and have researched the history of swords, famous swords throughout the ages. So, of course, I've wanted a sword-related article for a long time, and I've gotten a number of swords that I decided to take out since I have everything out and on hand, and share with you guys. So this tale from the Vargas Vault is dedicated to my sword collection. Now, the very first sword that I ever remember playing was, of course, my makeshift lightsaber. And I saw Star Wars and I loved the lightsaber. But basically, when I was a kid, I didn't have that much. Well, there was a time where we weren't, we didn't have a lot of money, but we weren't bad. But then there was unfortunately a period in my life where we were kind of short. Every family goes through that eventually at some point in their life where, times are tough and you have to cut down a whole bunch of expenses. But my makeshift lightsaber I made with tubes from napkins. Kitchen napkins. Those big tubes that had a whole bunch of napkins, and I would just put two together, and that was my sword. That was the very first sword I ever bought. And but on one of my trips to Comic-Con, I found this. It's a sword, but it's a foam sword. At least the outer part is. It's a foam sword, and I think it might have plastic or wood in the middle. I don't know, but it's just basically a foam katana. It has this foam grip. It has, of course, the katana-looking guard here, and this foam blade. It's 100% foam. If you smack someone, it would probably hurt, because I don't know if this is, like I said, wood or just very heavy plastic, but it has a nice weight to it. And I bought this at Comic-Con. I don't remember if it was the first or second Comic-Con that I went to, and it cost me 20 bucks. This baby cost me 20 bucks, and I've always wanted a samurai sort of sword. And, you know, I saw it, they had a lot more expensive swords. When I went, they had replicas for the Hattori Hanzo sword, both the build version and the bride version. They had a bunch of models for, you know, medieval swords. They had an Excalibur, and they had a very high-end, like I said, the Hattori Hanzo swords were like 150 bucks, except the bride version that was 200 for some reason. And they had another sort of samurai sword. They had the bleach sword, and they had a cloud strife looking sword. But I didn't have that much money. It was either buy comic books, which is the reason why I went to Comic-Con, or buy a $20 foam sword that wouldn't get me into any trouble with anyone, because, you know, you can't stab someone with this. It's just a practice sword, and it's a good costuming sword. Like I said, I mentioned in some videos, I'm always looking out for things that I can use for costumes, and it was the easiest and safest option at the time. It's 20 bucks. I can just use it as a costume, pull it out, and not have everyone freak out because I'm, you know, going to go crazy and start stabbing people with a sword. So that's the very first sword that I added to the collection. The second sword that I added is this. This sword. It's still packaged with the plastic, but this one's a metal sword. It's a short sword. I like it because it actually has a sharpness to it. I like it because it reminds me of Leonardo's sword. The reason why Leonardo's my favorite turtle is, number one, because he's the leader of the group, and as I'm the eldest brother, I identify myself with Leonardo, but also because he was the Ninja Turtle that carried swords. And like I said, I have a fascination with the weapon. This one looks a lot like Leonardo's sword. It's a straight sword. It's not curved like normal samurai swords. It doesn't have the guard like Leo's sword has, but this one's pretty good. I got this one at a store in at the shopping center. I got the sword at a shopping center, and it's a blade. It's a very simple blade. I don't know how. It's very thick, actually. I don't know if you'll be able to make it out. It's very thick. And this one does have a bit of a blade to it. I've never actually used this thing. I've never actually tried it out to see if I can cut something. I don't think I'll ever will. But I like this because it reminds me of Leo's swords. Again, it's missing the little guard here to look exactly like Leo's swords. But it has the right length. It has the right form. So to me, this is my Leonardo sword. I would love to find another one like this, because the cool thing about Leonardo, the Ninja Turtle, is that he dual wields two swords, and I only have one, and I would love to own another one to better, you know, be like Leonardo, because everything else looks for the most part looks exactly the same. Like I said, the design looks the same. The blade looks the same. It's just missing that guard here, and it came with this sort of strap thing, which again even makes it look even more like Leonardo's swords, because Leonardo has his swords and in a strap on the back, so he has one sword here and the other would go here, and then when he goes into action he would pull the swords out. So that's why I bought this one, because this one also cost me like 10 bucks. And that store in that shopping center is still open, but they don't have any more of these. They don't have these, so I have not been able to buy the pair so I can have Leo's swords. I would, of course, change this for blue, because in the majority of the Ninja Turtle series, these things are blue. This one's black. Also, this would be really cool for a Scorpion costume. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat also uses a sword similar to this. This is more like it's not a samurai sword, it's actually more like a ninja sword, which is why Leonardo uses something similar to this, because this is not a katana, this is more like a ninja sword. So I would love if that sword would bring these back, so I can, with the sheet thing, of course, so I could be like Leonardo. But unfortunately, I have not seen those type of blades in the store ever again. Now, in that same store, one December of a number of years ago, that store had a 75% off sale. Everything in the store had 75% off. Originally, I went looking for another one of those because I wanted another one of those. But in that store, on that date, for $30, they had this katana set. It's a set of 3 samurai katanas. Of course, these are not real samurai swords. An authentic samurai sword is a work of art in Japan. It's a national heritage, and you can't really officially export samurai swords out of Japan. It's illegal, and if you can do it, you have to pay a whole bunch of money, and you have to fill out a whole bunch of forms. Of course, I would love to own an actual authentic Japanese katana, but it's worth a lot of money, and like I said, it's almost impossible to get it out of Japan. But in that store, they had it 75 cents, so 75% off sale. So for $30, I was able to get this 3 katana set. Now it has this short. The set has this short sword, which samurai would use for small combat. And I love that. I love that about these swords. Of course, this is probably stainless steel. It's not actual, samurai blade. It's very solid. It's solid enough like the ninja sword. It doesn't wobble or anything. At least this one doesn't. But I'm pretty sure you could probably stab someone with this, but you can't cut anything bigger than that with these swords. These are basically just for props and for show. These are, interesting fact about Japanese swords is that back in ancient Japan, after many hours and days of forging a sword, because the process of actually forging an authentic Japanese sword is very long, and it's incredibly detailed. That's why samurai swords are works of art. To this day, it's not many, but there are some places where they still practice forging, samurai swords. And back in ancient Japan, the way that they would test if a sword was good is that after forging the sword, they would take the blade, and then they would have a criminal that did some sort of crime, and as a punishment to the criminal, and also as a way to test the sword, they would unsheath the sword and hack one of the hands from the criminal. So if the sword made a clean cut, then it would be certified as an authentic, reliable Japanese sword. They would make a certificate, that on so-and-so date the blade was tested, and it passed the test by making a clean cut. Because an authentic samurai sword can cut through bone like butter. Again, that's how they would test it. They would chop people's limbs off, and if it made a clean cut, then it was a worthy sword. And I've always loved the sound that swords make. That sound is so, like I said, I have such a very deep-rooted connection with Japanese culture that that sound is so cool to me. So yeah, it came with this short blade, and then it would come. It also came with this middle blade. This one's slightly bigger, also slightly longer. This one, unfortunately, they didn't stick it right. I don't know what they used to stick it, but this one's a little wobbly. This wobbles quite a bit. But again, it comes with the sheath, and it makes that awesome sound. They had a couple of designs, but this one I like the best. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. It has a dragon here at the bottom with another dragon here, right there, and it has some drawings here. And I don't know if the camera will pick up. And they had a couple of designs. They had a white one with this black fabric here, and they had a red one that looked kind of tigerish, but I wanted a more traditional looking set, and they had this one. It was the last one, and I fell in love with it, and I bought it. So like I said, for 30 bucks, I got these 3 blades. So this is the middle length sword, and the big one, the big kahuna, almost looks like a shotgun or some sort of rifle, is this one. This one is a big ass sword. I have to kind of lean back for you to actually see how long it is. And the difference between a katana and a ninja sword is that the katana has kind of like this curved look. It has a curved blade, and samurai would use this in battles. The more experienced samurai would never actually unsheath the sword. You probably have seen this in a lot of things. The more deadly sword is the one that is kept in its sheath. Once the sword is taken out of the sheath, then it loses its power, because a good samurai would be able to unsheath the sword, attack, and then really quickly put it back in. So an experienced samurai would just use the sword really quickly once, and then put it back in. You know, that's where the power of the katana lies. If you just have an unsheathed sword, then it loses that power. It's just a weapon. While if it's sheathed like that, it still has the power, hidden power in the blade. So yeah, that I think like I said, I'm just in love with Japanese culture, and these things, unfortunately, they do have a certain edge to them. I probably could cut fruit. If I sharpen it, it could probably cut a lot more. But unfortunately, now that I'm a father and I have a small girl, love that sound. Plus, you know, if we have a second kid, this thing could be very dangerous. These swords could be very, very dangerous. I don't want to get rid of them, and the way that I had them set up originally is that they came with a little display, so you can have all 3 swords on your mount and show them off. But like I said, with little kids, these things are super dangerous, and I don't want anything to happen to my daughter and possible future children. So unfortunately, unless I buy one of those cases that, you know, you can keep them under lock and key, I think these babies will go back into the box where I bought them. But I love. I probably will never own an authentic Japanese sword. I would love to own one. I'm not gonna lie, I would love to own an authentic samurai sword. But for now, as a prop, as a display thing, these are my favorite swords. I love the swords. I always wanted one. You've probably seen, if you watch Walking Dead, you know that Michonne also carries a samurai sword. And honestly, in the zombie apocalypse, your best weapon would be a samurai sword. Like I said, an authentic samurai sword can cut through bone like a hot knife through butter. You know, if you find yourself in that situation, a sword would be the best weapon that you can have. It's silent. You don't need to reload. You don't need to add any more ammo. You just chop, and you can chop limbs, chop heads. It's the perfect weapon. I love that sound. So yeah, of course. Once again, sorry if I keep repeating myself, but these are just prop swords. They look cool, they look beautiful, but these are not authentic Japanese swords. This one doesn't wobble as much as the middle one. It's pretty solid. And like I said, I love that sound. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. But yeah, these babies will probably stay under lock and key for the foreseeable future because that one and the ninja sword, I don't want anything to happen to my kid. But yeah, those are the swords that I have. Now, of course, there are other swords that I've bought, and based on Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Out of the movie weapons, one of my favorite weapons is the lightsaber. The lightsaber could probably beat the katana in a fight because it's a laser, and laser would cut steel. So of course a lightsaber, if you put a samurai sword against a lightsaber, the lightsaber's going to win. I guess it would just depend on the skill of the duelist. If a really skilled samurai wielder would fight a lightsaber wielder, maybe the samurai guy would win. But in functionality, the lightsaber is like the best sword that you can get ever. So I bought lightsaber props. There are some really high-end lightsabers out there that look beautiful, and the light-up effect is gorgeous on those guns. But those lightsabers cost upwards from $200 and up. And again, I've always had a tight budget. I would love to own one of those someday, but I'm not going to own them right now, of course. But I have bought toy prop lightsabers for when I've dressed up as Kylo Ren or Darth Vader. The first lightsaber that I bought was this one. Bought this at a swap meet. It cost me really, really dirt cheap. And this is Anakin Skywalker's and then Luke Skywalker's Blue Salt lightsaber. This one, of course, doesn't have any sound effects. The new thing that this one has is that it lights up. You put a couple of AA batteries here, and it extends by flicking it. And it's the blue lightsaber that Anakin Skywalker used, and then was passed down to Luke Skywalker. But this one doesn't make any sounds. Doesn't do the whoa, whoa, whoa sound effect. It just, you put in the batteries, you flip the switch on, and then it lights up like a lightsaber. But that's all it does. And it extends. And I like these extend lightsabers because, for costuming they're great. You can just holster them as a prop, and then when you take them out, you just flick it, and of course you have the lightsaber blade. So it's a lot more compact, it's a lot more easier, so I tend to prefer these extendo lightsabers. The next one I bought, and this is a big-ass lightsaber, but this is Darth Vader's lightsaber. This one is one of the better ones, because this one, if you flick this switch over here, the blade extends with a little spring. And this one lights up and has sound effects. This one, if you move it around like this, it does the lightsaber sound effect, and it lights up. This is actually my favorite lightsaber. It's nice and big and bulky, like Darth Vader's gun. It's supposed to be for kids, but it's big enough that an adult can wield it. It has a little belt buckle here, and it has the coolest one. This one you have the blue one. You have to flick it. This one you just press the button. And it also sounds the power on sound effect. So this one is by far my favorite of the lightsabers. It's big, it's beautiful, it's functional, it lights up, it has sound effects, it's perfect. The next one I bought is the Kylo Ren extending blade. Now, this one I bought because the Disney Store has a better one. It has a much better one, honestly. The blade is fixed. It's a fixed blade. It's a lot longer than this one. This one's like this, and the Disney Store one's like yay big. The lighting effects is a lot better. This one just has a couple of lights here, and the light has to travel through this thing. The one in the Disney Store has a whole bunch of LEDs in sections. So it has a section here, 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 here. So it lights up a lot better. It also has rumble. I don't know why again, For costume practical uses, I prefer the extendo form of lightsabers. And this one extends, but unfortunately doesn't extend as much as I originally thought. When I bought it, that's how it came. It doesn't really extend that much. It just extends a little bit, but it still has the cool... It has that nice crackling, but the light is intense here, and then it kind of fades as the light goes through the lightsaber. But it has a nice sound effect when you hit something. So I used this lightsaber when I went to see the premiere of Force Awakens, and it looks cool. At first, I wasn't a big fan of the Kylo Ren design of lightsaber. I thought the guard here looked kind of weird. But the more I saw the blade, the more I fell in love with it. I love how it looks. I love how it was used in The Force Awakens. And it's a pretty cool lightsaber. It's not as functional as this. This is by far my favorite one. But it's still pretty cool. I still love the design of the lightsaber. Again, if I'm able to cough up the $30 that the Disney Store lightsaber costs, I'll buy that one because it looks a little bit more professional. It's $30. It looks better than this, by far, and it competes with the Force FX lightsabers, the ones that cost $200. So that's a nice, cheap middle point between this and the high-end lightsabers. But I'm still happy with this. You know, it's compact, it's easy to carry. The one is a fixed blade. It just looks better. You know, I would buy that one for if I want to cosplay and look really cool. If I want to cosplay for a small local con, I would take this because it's a more compact blade. You just just pop it in, and it's a lot easier to carry this than the big old Disney Store one. But I still love it. I still love this one. I don't regret buying it. I wish I would have bought the Disney Store one as well than this, but it's still pretty cool. I still rather like the Kylo Ren lightsaber. And the one I bought recently is this one. I'm still not 100% sure if this is Obi-Wan's blue lightsaber or if it's Luke Skywalker's. Obi-Wan's green lightsaber or Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. This one has a copyright of 1999, but I don't honestly remember that's when the special editions were released. So I'm not sure if this is Luke's green lightsaber from Return of the Jedi or Obi-Wan's green lightsaber. But this one is older than this one. This one doesn't have any light up effects. You just press this button when it's held down, and it very, very wimpily extends the lightsaber. It's this one is not as cool because it doesn't light up. It doesn't have any sound effects. It's just your bare bones prop lightsaber. So it's still sort of cool, but not that cool, unfortunately. But still, you know, for costuming purposes, it's good. It has a holster here for your belt buckle, and you can just pop it out with that, and you got a lightsaber on the go. So again, for costuming purposes, it's pretty cool. And the last sword and lightsaber that I bought is this one. I bought this one for my little girl, and I bought it because it looks pink. If you look at the design, it looks a lot like Darth Vader's lightsaber, but it's supposed to be red, of course, but the color's faded enough that it looks pink. And I was like, a pink lightsaber, this will be perfect for my daughter. And it has these little sensor bars that if you touch it, I don't know if you'll be able to make it out that much, but the lightsaber actually glows if you very gently touch these sides here. And like I mentioned when I did the pickup video on this, I gave it to my daughter, and I was super proud that she knew to grab it and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She even tried to make the sound effect. So that was like so cool. But this is specifically, I bought this specifically for my daughter, and it does light up, and it's cool. So when she's older and she wants to, if she's into Star Wars as much as I am, we can have little lightsaber battles and watch the movies, and she'll be like, woo, 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 woo. So that's my dream. But yeah, that's the sword collection that I have. I love swords. I would love to own the Legend of Zelda sword, the Master Sword, of course. That's like my the samurai swords were my main goal in life. I got them, and my main gaming prop thing would be the Master Sword. I would love to own a Master Sword. Other than that, there's no really other swords that I would be interested in getting. Of course, the Disney Store version of the Kylo Ren sword would be awesome. I would love to own that because while I do like this, that other one, like I said, it's longer. It's like yay longer. This thing's a lot thicker and a lot longer, and it vibrates. That one, you actually feel the power of the lightsaber because it vibrates, and it also, if you smash it on something, it does the crackling effect. So I would love to actually own that one, and that would be pretty much it. I can't think of any other sword that I've seen in movies, or I suppose if I could find a gunblade, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen or played Final Fantasy VIII, but in Final Fantasy VIII, there's this character called Squall that has a gun that has a blade. That's why it's called the Gunblade. It was brought back during Final Fantasy 13. Lightning has a gunblade, and that one looks cool. It's not very functional if you think about it, because it's a sword that shoots. I guess it could work, but not much. But visually, it's a cool accessory. So if someone produces a replica of a gunblade, I would definitely buy the hell out of that. Or I guess I could try and build my own. It shouldn't be that hard. I just have to buy a gun and then just put a foam blade on it. But I would love to own an authentic looking gunblade. The gunblade is probably after the Master Sword. I'm sorry. The gunblade would be the next thing that if I find, I would buy. See, that one is, again, I don't know how functional a gunblade would be, but it looks cool. If Google gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It just looks interesting. It looks very, very interesting. So in the long term, that's what I would love to own: the Master Sword and a good replica of a gunblade. But right now, I'm happy. There are a number of lightsabers out there. There's the Mace Windu purple lightsaber. That one would be cool because it's the only purple blade that has ever existed. There's also Darth Maul's dual lightsaber. I've seen that. But either it doesn't work or it doesn't have the second lightsaber. It only has the front lightsaber, not the second one. And Darth Maul's lightsaber was pretty cool because, like I said, it's two lightsabers that extend like this and like that. So that would also be cool to own if I ever find one that works and has both parts. But I've never seen one that has both parts. So it only has the first one and the other one's missing, or it just doesn't work right. But like I said, I'm happy with the swords that I have. I'm super, super happy with these babies. I love these babies. These are my pride and joy as far as swords go. Love that sound. So yeah, if I ever, come across a lot of money and I'm able to buy the other swords that I mentioned, I would. And if I ever have personal space where I can display the swords under lock and key, that would be awesome. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So yeah, I don't know how long I've rambled on about swords and lightsabers, but I just wanted to share this collection with you guys. The whole purpose of the Tales from the Vargas Vault videos is to showcase a part of the collection and what it means to me and why I buy these things that I buy. If you think it's cool what I'm showing, what I'm talking about, give me a thumbs up, a comment. I always appreciate those, and I try to answer as fast as I can. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking because I think I'm rambling at this point. But thanks so much for watching, and until I see you all again, this is Vargas XX78. Hang out.